See you later. Is it rubbed? Hello everybody, my name is James Richardson and welcome to Weston Super Television and Weston People. I've got with me today Christopher Knight.
Hello.
Chris, hi.
Nice to meet you.
And you too. Now, Chris is a very keen gardener, has his own allotment and is here today to give us a little bit of information and advice on growing your own vegetables and etc. So, Chris, you come from a gardening family.
Yep,
Tell me a little bit about your family.
My father had an allotment when I was growing up, as well as our gardens. My maternal grandfather, my mum's family is one of 7, so he had a large corner plot at a house in Bristol, and he was my inspiration for gardening. He would grow anything. Every time we visit, he would be in the garden. You could always find Grandad in the garden. He did amazing things like grafting 3 different types of apples to one tree and stuff like that. So yeah, he was inspiration.
That's amazing. And is it that grandfather or another grandfather that had quite a few children?
It was that grandfather, yes. Okay. My mum was one of 7 children, and that was 2 sets of twins. So yeah, quite a lot of mouths to feed.
Absolutely. So I suppose the gardening helps. And
oh yes. Same as myself. It's a way to provide quite affordable food to your family, and not only that, you know it's fresh, you know where it's come from.
So it's true to say then, really, that your grandfather was the one who actually inspired you to the gardening.
Definitely, yeah. He, even just walking up the footpath to get to the house, you'd see the clipped hedges and shapes of birds and things. So
wonderful.
It wasn't just the veg, it was everything.
That's fantastic. So you left home at 18?
Left home at 18, moved to a first floor flat because that was what was affordable. Immediately noticed you don't get gardens on first floor flats.
That's right.
So as soon as possible, we moved into I was married then, we moved into a ground floor flat. Okay. So we had a garden.
So you had to travel some fair distance to get there.
I travelled from one side of the road to the other, yes. Literally, I could look out the flat window and see my old flat, yes.
That's brilliant. Yeah. So the main sort of inspiration that you gathered from your grandfather and for yourself as well was the hunting, gathering sort of situation, providing for your family.
Definitely. It was, whether it's a man or the woman, you come home and you're providing something for the children to play on the lawns. You're providing cut flowers for the house, fresh fruit and veg, all through the year for the kitchen. And generally, if you're a gardener, that means for all your friends and all your relatives and all your neighbours as well. Yeah.
No, that's brilliant. And so as far as vegetables go, we're under the impression, because of supermarkets, I remember when I was a boy, the supermarket would only have a certain amount of vegetables in a supermarket at a season. But now you can get everything, winter, summer vegetables, the whole lot, all year round. Now, how does that work? Because I was always under the impression that vegetables were seasonal. Yeah,
vegetables are seasonal, but seasons are different in different countries.
Right.
So when strawberries may be in season in the UK, maybe a short season, but they may be in season in Spain or Egypt or Africa, as late as December. So when you're getting fresh strawberries, they're fresh strawberries that have travelled from thousands and thousands of miles away.
And how do they keep? I mean, I put some strawberries in my fridge for a week and they go mouldy. So how does that happen?
A lot of things like strawberries, beans, tomatoes, lots of fruit are picked when they're still green and they ripen in transit. And a lot of fruit and veg manufacturers used to use an ethanol gas, which would naturally occur with a plant, but they use it to ripen a plant while it's in packaging, whilst it's on the shelf.
Okay, so quite a few chemicals involved there.
Now,
a burning question, which is a burning question, not only relative to this, but many other things, but we're going to talk about this.
Okay.
Supermarket vegetables, big juicy vegetables, not all the time. Allotments and things, I won't say they're not always big things, because you can see some at sort of different fairs and things. But sometimes smaller than the supermarket. Does size matter?
It does, but actually sometimes you benefit from having smaller.
Okay.
It's unusual to say that, but the big football-sized Swedes and turnips you see in shops, and the sort of foot-long carrots, big chunky things, they are grown for their weight, because the farmer, struggling like the rest of us, they are paid per kilo, per tonne. So they want everything to be as big as possible.
And as heavy as possible.
As heavy as possible to get the most money. Whereby a lot of things will benefit from being smaller and sweeter and having more flavour. So picking sort of finger carrots from the allotment, very sweet, very juicy, quicker to grow. You get less per pound, you get less weight certainly. You need more per pound, but you're growing them yourself.
And more flavour.
Much more flavour, and you can choose more varieties as well.
So the answer to that is size doesn't always matter.
Size doesn't always matter, no.
Good. That's good news. Right, so not just gardening for fun.
Nope.
I think you would say that gardening is also a good form of therapy.
Very much so, very much so. A lot of people, they have either a hard day at work or college, or even just a hard day at home. You can escape from everything, go down to a little allotment or just down to the bottom of your garden, get your little shed, need a little bit of peace and quiet, your sanctuary, and just shut yourself off from the world. Just potter about in the mud, pick a few weeds, maybe hoe a bit of soil, do a little bit of watering, and let all your troubles ease away. It's very, very therapeutic.
So having the old sort of wives' tale, you've got to have green fingers to be a gardener, that's not always true.
No.
Gardening can be simple, it's how simple you make it.
It is, yeah. You can make it as difficult or as simple as you like. I like to challenge myself, grow something I haven't grown before. I'm trying sweet potatoes this year.
Well, okay.
But there are very, very simple things. The things that we used to be shown at school. Runner beans grown on a piece of blotting paper. Just stick a potato, one single potato in a pot of soil. You're going to get potatoes if you do nothing. Very, very simple things to grow. Onions you can grow from little pre-grown bulbs. You just put them in the soil and leave them alone. Very, very simple things for children, beginners to grow. They're the sort of things you don't have to be tending on a daily basis. They don't need all the attention. They're not the real divas. They're the hard workers. Put them in, leave them alone, go back and you can pick them.
They'll look after themselves.
Yes, very much so.
So it's not as complicated as it looks. But saying that though, there are some aspects of gardening which are complicated, and you are qualified.
Yes,
well.
I am
Tell me a bit about your
qualified,
qualifications.
Yeah. I was working in a factory. I wanted to pursue gardening. I had an allotment. I had the typical thing of being a young man in an old man's game. And I decided to find out about a bit more about what I was doing, and I put myself through an RHS, which is the Royal Horticultural Society, course in horticulture on my day off through Weston College. And while I was going through that, I was laid off from work in engineering and started working at Uphill Manor as a gardener.
Oh, right.
So I was there when I actually qualified and got my certificate in horticulture.
Wonderful.
So I could go back to the men in the flat caps and say, I know why I'm doing this. I know the science behind it.
Yeah, that's good. And it's nice because it also gives you, the feeling that you're doing well with the profession that you're doing as well.
Yes. Having the professional background, somebody saying, yes, actually what you're doing is right and this is why. Yes, it's reassuring.
Yeah, very much so. Benefits-wise, I know that obviously we can all stick to our corners and we can stay in comfort zones what we're doing, but you would like to expand some different benefits to people out there in Weston-super-Mare and North Somerset.
Yeah.
What sort of benefits do you want to get across?
The provenance. There's been a lot, certainly political and environmental, lately about where food is coming from, what goes on your food, what goes in your food, everything from steroids in cattle to DDT and chemicals in the soil. If you're growing your own, you know where it's come from, and you're not talking air miles, we're talking foot miles. Walk to the plot, pick the fruit, take it back. The freshness is paramount. If you pick sweet corn and you cook it within 10 minutes of picking it, it doesn't lose any of its sugar.
Oh, wow.
After that, the sugar starts to turn to starch. So the things you get in the supermarkets, it may have been 4 or 5 days since picking.
Crikey.
The noticeable difference from picking sweet corn and cooking it immediately is paramount. It's fantastic. But the provenance is a big thing of knowing where everything's come from. If any chemicals have been used, what has been used, and actually seeing them grow, actually going each day and noticing the difference. You do get the odd bug, you do get the odd hole, you do get the odd shaped parsnip,
Yeah.
But it's all part of the fun.
Absolutely.
That's when you know it's organic. It's not being chemically produced to be uniform and all the same shape and size.
No, absolutely. And I suppose the thing is, if it is an odd shape, at least you know it's come from genuinely someone's garden or allotment.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Absolutely.
They're all still edible.
Yeah, very tasty as well, especially Christmas time, I would imagine, as well.
Yes, yes. You can actually, and I have done, you can grow potatoes and have new potatoes on Christmas Day.
That's wonderful.
If you know what you're doing. It's very simply a case of, it's not chemicals, but you can put a seed potato in a fridge.
Yeah.
Sort of suspended animation, if you like. Fool it, it's the wrong time of year. Yeah. Then plant it around about this time of year in a bag, some soil, and it grows as normal. You dig it up 23rd, 24th of December, new potatoes.
And new potatoes. I'll be giving you my address at the end of the show. And for all you budding entrepreneurs out there who think you're going to make some money from vegetables, well, you probably could, but there's something I didn't realise, and that's if you've got your own allotment.
If you've got your own allotment rules apply, and one of those is you are not allowed to sell your produce.
Right.
You can, however, give it away. As anybody who's got a neighbour or a friend or a relative that's got an allotment will testify. There's a certain time of year near the end of the summer when they keep turning up with carrier bags full of radishes and courgettes and trying to offload them on people.
Yeah.
Because the good thing about growing your own is you always get more than you need.
Yeah, yeah.
That's very social.
It's very social, and it helps out your neighbours as well.
Certainly.
And the amount of sort of produce, I would imagine it's being thrown away by supermarkets, etc. But this is all being used.
Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing. When you're throwing all your garden waste or your kitchen waste into a little green or a little brown box for the recycling men to take away, you can be making that into compost, which then goes back into your soil. So the whole recycling thing is going on. You're growing it, you're taking the kitchen, and the stuff that you don't actually cook and eat, you're putting back into producing the next lot of fruit and vegetables.
Yeah, so it's decomposing the soil to help with the next.
It is, yeah.
The soil in Weston, does it vary from area to area?
It will do. We've got the benefit of having a beach, but we've also got the hills behind us. The hills, they are obviously much further away from the sand level. The nearer you are to the beach, the more likely you are to have clay soil.
Right.
Because the Western beach gets this lovely colour and its lovely seawater colour from the clay. As any news during the summer will tell you, people like to get stuck in it. So if you're near the beach or on the flat levels, you tend to have clay soil, which is very, very rich in nutrients, very rich in food, but it's all locked into the clay. If you live up on the hills where you've got lots of trees, lots of leaf mould, many, many more layers of soil before you get down to the clay, you'd much like to have a much richer, leafy, what we call an acidic soil. Very good for growing things like blueberries.
Right.
But generally for vegetables rather than fruit, they do like a clay soil. It's just a case of opening the soil up, getting the nutrients to come out. Lots of rich leafy material, what we call very fibrous material, such as well-rotted manure, garden compost, leaf mould, and lots of grit, very fine grit you can buy from allotment suppliers. That will open the soil up and allow all the nutrients to get out and allow water to drain away. So it's very much more easier to use once you've improved it.
So there are different aspects of soils that you can get around fairly easily.
Everything you can get around. Everything, even if it just comes down to growing things in a bog garden. If watercress, you can grow watercress in a running stream. So there you are. Even if you've got a river running through your garden, you can still get something. You
saw carrots once in France being grown in a running stream.
Yep, a lot of commercial growers grow tomatoes in what they call hydroponics.
Right.
Where they're suspended in flowing water, with all the nutrients going through the water, and there's no soil involved.
Yeah, see, it's only when you sit down and you talk about these things with somebody who's in the know like yourself, you find out things about that.
Oh yeah.
One of the final questions, which is an agenda which is constantly on people's minds all the time, is the environment important to you?
Very, very much, very much. So it affects everyday life basically, but in the garden you're more aware of it. From one year to the next, if your plants have got more pests because the predatory insects have been wiped out by some sort of chemical. It's quite reassuring if you're a gardener to see something like a frog or a toad in the garden or a slow worm, because they're nature's own pest controllers. They eat massive amounts of slugs and pests. So you're very much aware of changes in the environment, but also, as we said about strawberries, beans, things coming from other countries, if you're taking a small punnet of baby sweet corn from Kenya to go on a supermarket shelf in Weston, just the effect on the environment of that small punnet of vegetables travelling thousands of miles, it can't be good.
No, definitely not. And one of the everyday items of use, which I'm sure as somebody who knows a lot about the environment and a lot about the gardening and the soil and the nutrients and minerals, there's an everyday use of nappies. Disposable nappies. There's North Somerset Nappy Alliance. I've got some interesting facts about that, and it's scary.
It is, yeah.
It's scary. These disposable nappies are something which you don't realise how many chemicals are going into the soil.
Yeah, there used to be an argument when disposable nappies first became popular that you didn't have all the problems of chemicals, detergents being used to wash and clean and bleach the terry toweling nappies.
Yeah.
Nowadays, there are biodegradable, environmentally friendly detergents.
Yeah.
We all know them now. They've been highly publicised.
Yeah.
But just the process of breaking down a disposable nappy, it's disposable, it's not biodegradable. It's two different things. The amount of chemicals that are left in the soil, the amount of years it takes for these things to break down in landfill, it's quite scary stuff. 500
years.
Yes.
Each nappy.
I'm a bit all surprised.
It's unbelievable. Each nappy, disposable nappy, takes 500 years in the soil.
Yep.
And during that 500 years, it's releasing cancerogenic chemicals, etc., into the soil.
It's all frightening stuff.
Frightening stuff. And something like 8 million disposable nappies are thrown away each day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Scary stuff.
That's, I mean, yeah, we're a growing society, and we are a society of working mums, if there's jobs available. Everybody's got time pressure. It's very convenient to use a disposable nappy. But at the end of the day, if we want to go out and grow things and use the soil, we want clean soil that's not been contaminated by somebody's disposable nappies 30, 40, 50, 500 years ago. Yeah, we've got to think about the future use of that landfill site.
It's very comfortable to think about our children or ourselves living 80, 90, 100 years now. But it's scary to think that in my son who's 3 now,
he could reap the benefits, not the benefits, the side effects of your grandparents might have put in the soil.
Well, his great, well, if we go 500 years into the future, that nappy that he wore that was thrown away is still degrading in the soil.
Yep. Landfill sites may well eventually be built on, expanding population.
Well, people not knowing.
Not knowing, thinking we've made this safe. Everything's buried hundreds of feet below.
Yeah.
But it's in the soil.
It's in the soil.
Yeah.
So let's look after our futures as well and look after the soil and everything that grows in it.
Yes, think of the future.
Absolutely. Chris, it's been fantastic.
Thank you, James.
Very, very interesting show. And I've learned a lot from the show and yourself.
I'm glad you have, I hope you join us and do a bit of gardening.
Very much so. I'm going to give it a go.
Grow some vegetables for that son of yours.
I will, I promise. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.